Plaintiff Shauna Miller lived with the defendants, but after she moved out, they refused to return her property, including her mother's ashes, so she's suing. Defendants Mandy Taylor and her husband Clifton say things with Shauna went south after she and her witness started bullying Mandy. Mandy refuses to return Shauna's property because Shauna owes them for rent, so she's countersuing for the rent and storage fees.
Start with you.
This all started based on me trying to return my property stored at her house when I lived there. And she decided that over a Facebook chat group disagreement that I can no longer have my stuff. And so I am trying to recover.
What items?
I have a wedding,
You have
a custom.
list?
Yes, sir, I do.
And when is the last time you've asked her to return your things?
She sent me a certified non-signature letter stating I had until February 28th to get my belongings.
Did you?
I showed up at the end of February to
What
get my
happened?
things, and she refused. She had the cops called.
And when they came, what happened?
She was arguing with them, telling them they didn't know how to do their job, that I was trespassing, and that I needed to leave, and that she was going to
You weren't able to get your things then?
I got partial things.
Okay, and then they obviously told you to go to court because it was a civil claim to get your other things.
Correct.
Plaintiff Shauna Miller lived with the defendants, but she's suing because they refused to return her property, including her mother's ashes.
Okay, let me hear from you all, ma'am, in particular.
These two were bullying me over a Facebook fight, basically accusing me of taking advantage of another friend that I had not taken advantage of. They showed up to my house out of the blue, no calling ahead to arrange a scheduled time to come and get the stuff. They show up out of the blue, and I was asleep at the time that she had tried to call and left a voicemail. She stated that she was here to get her stuff. So I went upstairs to see if she was still out front. Her truck wasn't there, but I saw an unknown person walking up and down my driveway, taking stuff in and out of my garage. So I called the cops, and the cops show up, and it turns out there was Jessica Kidder that was taking stuff from the garage. I had explained to the cops that they were trespassing because they had no authorization to be there on that date at that time.
Where are her things now?
Her items are still stored where they were, aside from the things that the cops allowed her to take.
You have a problem with returning them now?
I have no need for her items. I just wanted to get paid for it.
You got her mother's ashes, you have wedding dress, wedding decorations. You have very sentimental items here. And you withholding them until what?
Until she pays me the unpaid rent and the unpaid storage fees that she's required by law to pay.
Okay. And what state are you all from?
Nebraska.
And they allow you to withhold items until they're paid for?
And as pursuant to the Landlord-Tenant Act, yes.
Okay. Yeah, there are a few states that do that. So, ma'am, they are within their right to withhold your items until you pay. Do you owe debts?
I owe them $400 for rent. There was no agreement on storage at all. I also agreed to her that we had mutual agreement that I would pick those items up in March when I returned.
Okay.
She was okay with this until the Facebook chat altercation.
What items are in storage, ma'am?
I have several pictures of her items.
Are any of these items we mentioned in storage? Her mother's ashes?
Aside from her claim of them, I am unaware of any ashes that are there.
Are any items still at your house?
Yes.
And the storage you're referring to is your home, or is it a storage facility you've moved them to?
My home as well as my garage.
Okay. And what is the counterclaim? How does she owe you $2,200?
She owes me $600 for unpaid rent as well as $1,600 for storage.
How did you come to $1,600 for storage?
For the storage, they've been there since she moved out.
4 months?
Yes.
And you charging $400 a month
Yes.
for those items?
Yes.
How much room are they taking up?
They're taking up the entire room that she was renting in the upstairs of my home. And
Your Honor, I have pictures of my
Yeah, she
items.
says they're taking up an entire room.
They are not.
They couldn't be.
I can
What
put
I
everything
saw.
in a 5 by 10
You have the
unit.
pictures with you now?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
ma'am, this doesn't take up an entire room. You're about to get $20 a month
These,
for them 4 months.
these items. This one.
$400 a
her
month.
items. The wedding items in question are stored right here.
Okay.
Plaintiff Shauna Miller lived with the defendants, but she's suing because they refused to return her property, including her mother's ashes.
All right. And that's, you could have put them in a storage facility, which would have cost about $50 a month. And I'm going to grant you the amount that a storage facility would have cost for her to put in. That's approximately $50 a month for 4 months, is it? So you'll have $200. Rent, you owe for rent?
I owe her $400 for rent.
All right. She says $600. How do we come to the difference?
I have text messages where she states
How
that
much do you say? You say she owes $600?
yes,
All right, and you have text messages showing what? So it's $300 a month rent,
correct.
ma'am? I'm looking at your text. You're telling her it's $300 rent.
and originally it was $300 a month for the downstairs room that she was living in, but then she moved to the upstairs
When?
room, which is $400.
When?
She moved up there in November,
November what?
approximately in the middle of November.
All right, all
She
right.
lived 2 months in the downstairs room and 1 month in the upstairs
Okay.
room.
No, Your Honor.
So you told her that it would go up in the middle of November?
And she was aware that the upstairs room was $400 and the downstairs room was $300.
Ma'am?
That is incorrect.
This does say something about moving upstairs. So you explain what that's telling me.
It was 300. Well, first she says 400, and then I asked her why, and then she said, "Oh, that's right, brain's not working. It's 900."
All right, it's 3 months in question. That's why you wanted.
But I've paid 500 towards that 900, so I owe her $400.
Got it.
I moved to the upstairs bedroom at her request, and moved my things upstairs at her request.
And you want your items instead of just monies, obviously.
Correct. I would love to
yeah.
have all my things.
All right. I'm going to grant you all $600. One, $200 for the storage, reasonable amount you would pay comparative to a storage facility. Secondly, the rent, I'm inclined to believe her based on the text I read as well. Therefore, I'm granting you $600. It'll be contingent upon her obtaining her items. Have a good day.
I'm just sorry that she ended 3 friendships over her property when I thought she was my friend, and I'm grateful to have my property back now, if only she'll give it to me.
I have no desire to be friends with someone who would trespass and break into my house and treat a friend as badly as she treated me.
I'm just glad that this is gonna be over. It's been absolutely exhausting trying to keep up with all this, and I'm finally just glad to have this settled.